Kant, who forbids straying into the intelligible world, equates the subjective side of Newtonian science with cognition and its objective side with truth. The question how metaphysics is possible as a science must be taken precisely. Whether metaphysics satisfies the criteria of a cognition that takes its bearings from the ideal of mathematics and so-called classical physics. Mindful of his assumption that metaphysics is a natural disposition, Kant poses the problem with reference to the how of generally valid and necessarily supposed cognition. But what he means is the what of that cognition, its possibility itself. He denies the possibility measured by that scientific ideal. Yet science, whose imposing results make him relieve it of further misgivings, is a product of bourgeois society. The rigidly dualistic basic structure of Kant's model for criticizing reason duplicates the structure of a production process, where the merchandise drops out of the machines as its phenomena drop out of the cognitive mechanism, and where the material and its own definition are matters of indifference vis-a-vis the profit, much as appearance is a matter of indifference to Kant, who had it stenciled. The final product with its exchanged value is like the Kantian objects, which are made subjectively and are accepted as objectivities. The permanent reductio ad hominem of all appearance prepares cognition for purposes of internal and external dominance. Its supreme expression is the principle of unity, a principle borrowed from production, which has been split into partial acts. The moment of dominance in Kant's theory of reason is that it really concerns itself only with the domain in which scientific theses hold sway. Kant's confinement of his questioning to empirically organized natural science, his orientation of it by validity, and his subjectivist critique of knowledge are so entwined that none could be without the others. As long as the subjective inquiry is to be a testing of validities, cognitions which have no scientific sanction, in other words, which are not necessary and not universal, are second-rate. This is why all efforts to emancipate Kantian epistemology from the realm of natural science had to fail. We cannot supplement and make up within the identifying rudiment what that rudiment eliminates by nature. The most we can do is change the rudiment because we recognize its insufficiency. The fact, however, that the rudiment does so little justice to the living experience which cognition is, this fact indicates that the rudiment is false, that it is incapable of doing what it sets out to do, namely to provide a basis for experience. For such a rigid and invariant basis contradicts that which experience tells us about itself, about the change that occurs constantly in the forms of experience. The more open it is, and the more it is actualized. To be incapable of this change is to be incapable of experience. To Kant, we can add no theorems of knowledge that were not developed by him, because their exclusion is central to his epistemology. The systematic claim of the doctrine of pure reason makes this exclusion unmistakable enough. The Kantian system is a system of stop signals. The subjectively directed constitutional analysis does not alter the world as it is given to a naive bourgeois consciousness. Rather, it takes pride in its empirical realism, but it sees the height of the validity it claims as one with the level of abstraction. Obsessed with the a priority of its synthetic judgments, it tends to expurgate any part of cognition that does not bow to their rules. The social division of labor is respected without reflection, along with the flaw that has become strikingly clear in the 200 years since, that the sciences organized by a division of labor have usurped an illegitimate monopoly on truth. Put in bourgeois and very Kantian terms, the paralogisms of Kant's epistemology are the bad checks that want to protest with the unfoldment of science into a mechanical activity. The authority of Kantian concept of truth turned terroristic with the ban of thinking the absolute. Irresistibly, it drifts toward a ban on all thinking. What the Kantian bloc projects on truth is the self-maiming of reason, the mutilation reason inflicted upon itself as a rite of initiation into its own scientific character. Hence the scantiness of what happens in Kant as cognition, compared with the experience of the living, by which the idealistic systems wish to do right, even though in the wrong fashion.